Today we are talking about, is being lean as cool as we think it is?
Tell them why we're talking about this now.
Well, I mean, it's starting to pop up in the headlines. I mean,
Yeah.
Organizations always lean towards being lean.
Yeah.
But like there are periods of time where it hits the managers more so than other times. And so we're in that period of time right now, probably triggered by AI.
Why do you think, tell them why you think AI may have caused companies to cut back manager ranks?
I think there's the possibility that some of the jobs that mid-level managers are doing, AI can now do. And then I think that also
you got to be, by the way, I'll just say, you got to be a pretty gutsy boss to be cutting managers because you think AI already can.
I mean, the logistics industry has really taken AI on. I mean, that's the one that comes to my mind off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You know, because AI in many respects can do that work probably better and more efficient than like some of those mid-level managers. And so, you know, we're seeing that. We're seeing it, like Microsoft just had an announcement of laying people off. And the other reason is because, interestingly enough, AI also makes it so people who weren't managers can now do jobs that managers previously did.
Give me an example. What's a job?
So like the research part, right? Like,
okay. All right.
You know, before you had somebody who needed a little bit more expertise and probably just some research skills. And now research, I mean, the information is just becoming easier and easier to get at.
Yeah.
And so now there's the possibility of just like jobs are just getting reshaped.
Yeah.
And instead of paying a higher amount for a manager doing some of these jobs because AI has made them easier, now like lower level employees are going to get those jobs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think there's like a kind of, I think that's what's happening. It's just sort of sorting itself out. Like different tasks are being reassigned.
Okay.
Organizations are going through restructuring. And whenever you're taking out a middle level of management, you're basically flattening your organization.
Yeah. So our concern here is that to the extent that companies are thinning out managers right now, what that does to the managers left is often it increases the number of people they have to supervise, or what's known in the research as it increases the span of control.
And so that's how many people basically a manager is responsible for.
How many direct reports you have?
So you got a story from the old days.
I got an old day. The first time I heard about span of control, it was when I was in the Army. I was an infantry officer, and I was a light infantry, so we didn't have vehicles, but the mechanized infantry had vehicles. And the Army was about to buy this vehicle to transport the soldiers around, needed to know what's the basically most effective size of a infantry squad, the smallest unit of that kind of fighting force. And so they commissioned a lot of studies and did the research, and their number ended up being 9 with 3 leaders.
So it's 1 primary leader, 2 subordinates,
running,
and then 3 people under each subordinate leader.
In using our lingo, the 3 managers were the squad leader and the 2 team leaders. That's 3 managers. And then the actual squad members itself was 3 under 1 team leader and 3 under another.
Which means that the squad leader, the one at the very top, had a span of control of 2.
Yep.
And then the team leaders had spans of control of 3.
That was the size of the squads for, I think it's still to this day, a very, very long time, maybe 50 years, something like that. I mean, that's the kind of functional size.
Yeah. And so like the research says somewhere like, 5 to 7 is somewhat.
It's doable.
Yeah, doable, generally speaking. As you push higher, what happens is that, well, we were going to get into some of the negative sides of pushing higher, but you can push into the higher levels for span of control if like there's a technology component that basically allows you to be able to supervise like more holistically the team and easier than just like putting eyeballs on people and like observing what they're doing.
Yeah.
So like there's some, as an example, there's some like sales software where if you're leading a sales team, which is, pretty difficult because salespeople should be out in the field, but you can keep track of each sales person and their customer contacts. And like, it's like a screen of dots, and the dots will say, if it's green, it's a customer that has just been contacted. Yellow, it's been so long. Red, it's been really long. And so that allows in like one screen for the manager to look at all their salespeople and see like, okay, is everybody sort of being taken care of in terms of customers by my subordinates? So you can use technology like that to basically ramp up how many people a manager can actually supervise. And then there are other things that contribute to it as well. It's like how intensely you have to train the person.
Yeah, that's right. Which is why it's so low in the military.
Right. Because it's almost more of like kind of an apprenticeship, would you say?
I think that's not unfair.
Right. And like for us, when we got our PhDs, like,
that's a very low number.
Very low number, because like you literally have a mentor and you are apprenticing under them, and like it's pretty intense.
And they're typically not taking on more than 2 at a time, maybe 3.
Maybe if they really
that's
they have other obligations too.
Yeah. It depends on how intense the training is that would impact the span of control. The technology can help you add on a few more people.
Yeah, I think that level of tenure impacts your span of control, because when you have people who've been doing it for a long time,
you want to be a little bit
you don't have to have the same kind of oversight. You're also not putting in the training even initially, like even with like positions that are, easier to train. I think the novelty of the work and whether or not, there's a standardization and kind of a clear outcome impacts the span of control.
Yeah.
And so like all of these factors go in to either make it easier or harder to have more people underneath you.
Yeah. It's not as clean as are my people new or experienced. I'm thinking about the place we work where they have a bunch of managers under vice presidents. And so each manager, there's, I think, 21 of these managers under 3 vice presidents. And then each of the vice presidents has roughly 7. The numbers may not be exactly right, but it's roughly 7, 7, 7. And in their 7, they have everything from been there forever, doesn't need anything, to brand new and, spooked about the learning curve. And so same manager, same vice president in this case, with the 7 direct reports, but they have very different needs. And so you're having to, it goes back to something we've talked about before, which I think is important, of this idea that you can just be one thing. That's not true. You as a manager have to be a lot of things, and you've got to have your hands and your mind and your direction more intensely focused on some of the new ones. And then for your more senior ones, you need to be laying back. And then there's people who have things happen in their life, and you step in and you give more support to somebody you haven't had to support for 2 years. And now all of a sudden something happens, an event in their life, and you have to kind of be there.